Have you ever wondered why some men don't need to talk much, don't need to be handsome, and yet women are strangely drawn to them? It's not because they've mastered some fancy pickup line, and it's not because they're hiding a secret formula in a well-worn dating playbook. It's because they know how to say two simple words. Two words that can completely change how a woman sees you, feels you, and responds to you. In this video, you'll discover why saying, "I want," isn't just about words. It's a declaration of presence. If you've ever found yourself hesitating to ask a girl out, if you've ever felt like you were always chasing, then this is your moment to flip the script. Don't skip this, because once you understand this, you'll no longer be the man who gets overlooked. You'll be the one she chooses. Part 1. Confidence isn't about being loud, it's about being clear. I once met a man in Texas, not tall, not dressed in a suit, not an Instagram star with 50,000 followers, but when he walked into a bar, the whole room seemed to slow down for a second. He didn't shout, didn't seek attention. He just walked in, sat down, ordered a whiskey and told the bartender, "I want a quiet evening." Simple, clear. And here's the strange thing. When you state what you want with certainty, the world tends to cooperate. Women too. They're not attracted to flashy lines you learned online. They're drawn to the energy that comes from a man who knows what he wants. The problem is, most men are afraid to speak it. They ask for permission. They overthink. They circle around their feelings like trying to navigate a maze of emotions just to avoid rejection. But in doing so, they lose the very thing that makes them magnetic: clarity. When you say, "I want to take you to dinner," you're not just offering a date. You're sending a deeper message. I'm not afraid to be rejected. I'm ready for you to know who I am. And here's the paradox. That kind of courage? That makes you more attractive, whether she says yes or not. Women aren't looking for perfection. They're looking for something real. And "I want" is one of the most honest places to begin. It doesn't have to be shouted like a revolutionary slogan. It just needs to be said with the calm of someone who knows where he's going. Like the man in Texas, who had nothing to prove because his presence was already the answer. Part 2. Women are drawn to leadership. I once witnessed a fascinating moment at a small restaurant in Los Angeles. A young couple was deciding what to eat for dinner. The girl looked at the waiter, then turned to her boyfriend and asked, "What do you want to eat?" He gave a nervous smile. "Whatever you order, I'll eat the same." She said nothing, just looked down at the menu, with the kind of expression you'd expect from someone reading a tragic verdict. Moments later, when the waiter returned, she ordered for both of them, no more questions. And from that moment on, the entire evening went quiet. That story wasn't about food, it was about energy. When a man avoids decision-making, women don't feel led. They feel left alone in a forest of uncertainty. They don't need a dictator, but they do need someone who knows what he wants. Because in a world overloaded with choices and confusion, clarity is one of the rarest gifts. And clarity starts with something small, a decision voiced without hesitation. When you say "I want," you're not just choosing a meal or a date spot. You're choosing your role in the relationship. Women aren't drawn to a man whose words carry no weight. They're drawn to the one who makes them feel safe following. And that doesn't come from your appearance or your bank account. It comes from how you respond to even the simplest questions. "I want to see that jazz show on Saturday." "I want you to come to the party with me." Those sentences may sound ordinary, but in a world where everyone's afraid of being too much, your clarity becomes strangely magnetic. Part 3. I want is not control, it's leadership. There's a very thin line between a man showing initiative and becoming a burden of control. But strangely, many men are so afraid of being misunderstood as controlling that they completely withdraw from the role of leadership. They choose silence, passivity, and wait for everything to happen safely, without realizing that this so-called safety is exactly what makes them invisible. I have a friend named Ray living in Seattle working as a software engineer. Ray is kind, gentle, intelligent. But in relationships, he rarely dares to express his feelings or desires. He believes that to keep his girlfriend comfortable, he should leave all the decisions to her. The result? She broke up with him for a very clear reason. I don't know what you actually want. It feels like I'm the one carrying this whole relationship. From that day on, Ray began practicing something simple, saying what he wanted. Not demanding, not forcing, just expressing himself. I want to see you this afternoon, if you're free. Or, I want to talk about what happened the other day, because it's been on my mind. And he discovered something. When you say, I want, calmly and sincerely, you don't make others feel pressured. You make them feel safe. Leadership isn't something to be feared. It's a signal that you have an inner system working, that you're not just reacting to others, but showing up as yourself. Women don't run away from leadership. They only run from control. And when you understand that, I want is no longer an arrogant demand. It becomes an invitation to walk alongside you on a path that's clear, intentional, and respectful. Part 4. Passive men get replaced. There's something many men don't realize. When you constantly leave decisions to others, you're slowly erasing your own presence. Not because you're incompetent, but because you're becoming a shadow. Sweet, but forgettable. I once heard a woman in Chicago share that her boyfriend always let her choose everything. The restaurant, the date spot, the weekend plans, even the movie they watched on Friday nights. At first, she thought he was sweet, but over time, she no longer felt like she was with a man. She felt like she was dragging along a friend with no opinion. He's nice, she said, but I don't feel like there's anyone there I can lean on. And that's the problem. When you don't express your desires, you leave no mark on the relationship. You become easy to replace. Women don't need someone who wins every argument. They need a man whose presence is clear, someone who can say, I want to do this. Not to force, but to make her feel like someone is walking beside her, offering direction. Don't confuse kindness with disappearance. You can be thoughtful, caring, but still have a straight spine and a clear voice. A hesitant invite like, if you're not busy, then maybe we could go somewhere, leaves no impression. But if you look her in the eyes and say, I want to take you to dinner this Saturday, you're delivering something more powerful than words, a sense of safety, direction, and masculinity. And whether she says yes or no, you'll leave behind an impression that's not easily forgotten. Part 5. Confidence is a mental muscle. Many men think confidence is a natural trait, that only those born with iron will, piercing eyes, and deep voices can make women fall for them. But the truth is, confidence isn't a gift from the heavens. It's a mental muscle, and like any other muscle, it needs to be trained. One of the most effective exercises is saying what you want. It may sound small, but every time you say, I want, whether you're ordering food, asking a question, or inviting someone out, you're training yourself to show up, to exist fully, to have a voice. I once knew a guy named Dylan from Boston, kind, meticulous, and nearly invisible in every conversation. But after a coaching session, he challenged himself, say what he wanted at least 5 times a day. It started with, I want my coffee without sugar. Then, gradually, I want to speak at the meeting. And finally, I want to see you again. He told me, not everyone agreed with his wants, but the act of speaking up changed the way he walked, the way he spoke, and the way others saw him. Because the world isn't attracted to perfection, it's drawn to clarity. When you dare to say what you want, you give others permission to see who you are. And in a society where everyone hides behind politeness and vagueness, the man who speaks plainly and honestly, I want this, is the one who makes women pause. Not because his words are charming, but because he stands out. And in a noisy world, being unapologetically yourself is the most compelling thing you can be. Part 6. The 5x I Want Daily Challenge. Nothing changes if you don't take action. You can watch countless videos about female psychology, read all the books on attraction, listen to every podcast on confidence, but if you don't open your mouth and start saying "I want" every day, then it's all just theory for self-comfort. This is the moment for a real challenge. Try saying "I want" at least 5 times a day. It doesn't have to be grand, just simple, honest and clear. I want a few minutes alone. I want that dish. I'll call you back when I'm free. No one's asking you to become controlling. The goal isn't to dominate others, it's to clarify yourself. Because if you don't know what you want, how can anyone else know how to connect with you? Women don't need you to be right all the time. They need to feel that you have direction. A man who knows what he wants is always more attractive than a man who's afraid of disappointing others. On a date, when she asks, "What do you think?" that's not just a casual question. It's a test. An invitation for you to stand tall and not back down. If you say, "I don't know, what do you think?" you've just handed over the leadership. But if you calmly reply, "I want to try this dish with you. If you don't like it, we can switch," you're expressing a clear intention while also making space for her to feel respected. Attraction doesn't lie in being perfect. It lies in having the courage to step forward and show that you are present, fully and consciously. And something as simple as "I want" can be the beginning of every change you've been waiting for. Ending. Confidence isn't about showing off, and it's not a manipulative tactic. It's the ability to clearly say who you are, what you want, and where you're going. In this modern world full of noise and pretense, a man who can say "I want" with calm and sincerity is like a breath of fresh air, the kind that makes women turn their heads. Remember, you don't need to become someone else. You just need to fully show up as yourself. Start with the smallest thing. Say what you want every day. Change doesn't come from thinking differently. It comes from acting differently. If you found this video helpful, drop a comment below. I want to change. And if you truly want to explore the deeper power of modern masculinity, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and share this with a friend you want to see become stronger, just like you.